Hi guys, how's everyone doing? So if you want to watch the live stream version of this, well, it will be the replay. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Marianne Hanson Counsellor and Coach, where I've just gone live discussing this issue. But I thought I'd make this for my YouTube subscribers, and also I will link in the description the other video that I made about father-daughter relationships, but this one is about mother-daughter relationships. And what I want to talk about is something that I feel affects a lot of my clients because they've talked about it when they've come to see me, and that is just some of the issues that can come up. So I'm going to try and keep it compact. I went live, I think I was on there for a good 30 minutes, so you can go over to my Facebook page where you'll see the more in-depth version, but I just wanted to make it for my YouTube subscribers too. So when there's issues that come up between you and your mum, so this is for daughters, mother-daughter relationships, they can involve pressure from parents to be someone that you're not, expectations, jealousy, a loss of control by the parents, so they start to become more demanding, putting responsibilities on children, and also becoming a friend and then trying to put rules in place after. So I'm just going to briefly talk about some of these, then I'm going to talk about these solutions. So sometimes a parent can spend ages, before they even become a mum, wishing and thinking about the things that they want for their daughters. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you might have dreams, you might have goals, you might have ideas of what you want. The issue comes up when either firstly you want something for your daughter that you didn't achieve for yourself. So you may have always wanted to go off and perform on Broadway. You may have always wanted to be a doctor. If you've already got that expectation for your daughter and then they decide they don't want to do that, that can cause issues. The other thing might be, it might not have been a dream you held for yourself, but it might just be what you think is best for your daughter. So you might already be saying, when my daughter is born, this is what they're going to do. This is how they're going to behave. Now, if you have someone who's got a strong-willed personality, or they're just completely different to what you think they're going to be, it can cause clashes, because you can be constantly trying to mould your child into being something that they're not. And this happens a lot for some of my clients. They'll say, my mum doesn't like me, or my mum always wants me to be something that I'm not, and it causes quite a lot of distress because I can never be what she wants me to be. I can never dress like that. I'm not a girly girl how she wants me to be. I'm not someone that has that type of personality. I don't want to do that role. So it can cause issues. So the second one, jealousy, is something which doesn't get talked about a lot. There are some parents that are envious of their children, and it's not always if they're stepchildren. So when jealousy comes up, the key thing that has to happen is it has to be acknowledged as what it is. If there's competition between you and your parent, which is what a lot of clients have said to me, it can cause quite a lot of distress, because you can constantly be feeling that your mum is like the enemy. I have to compete with her. She looks at me as though she's jealous, and this can happen a lot if you've been a single parent, but you've raised your child, you had give birth to your child when you were quite young. Maybe you look similar and people say you look like sisters. Maybe you do a lot of things together, and eventually there's this jealousy that takes over. So this is something that needs to be addressed. Sometimes it can be addressed within counselling, or sometimes it can be addressed between you by acknowledging it. The third one is when a parent starts to lose control or feels that they're losing control. If they've always had a lot of influence over what their child does, it can be very, It can be very upsetting or very scary for a parent to see that their child is becoming independent. A lot of my clients have said to me, when they're trying to make decisions, anything from moving house, buying a car, being in a particular relationship, moving to a different country, the parent will block it, and they'll do it in a way that is very negative. Why are you going to do that? You're not going to achieve that. Why are you getting a new car? You can't even afford this. But what's underneath it sometimes is actually fear I'm scared that you're growing up, you're becoming independent, you're making your decisions, you're not my little girl anymore. So another thing, as I've said, it can be through acknowledging from the parent that this is what's really going on. And the fourth one is friendship. So a lot of parents will start off with having a friendship with their daughter. Now this can sometimes be quite destructive because they might be having unhealthy conversations. There's a lot of clients that will come to me and say, my mum used to come into my room and talk to me about, these topics, which I felt were inappropriate. And I will say that, it's not acceptable for you at the age of 6 or 7 to be hearing inappropriate stuff that's been going on between your mum and dad, or, arguments that they've had with friends, or anything which is really adult conversations. This can happen. Children can remember it. They can then, when they're an adult, start talking to a counsellor about how it's impacted on them. So this is something that can cause issues within the mother-daughter relationship. So what do you do about it? The first step is create time together to bond. If you can build that foundation and maintain it through having a close bond with your mother, what that means is when issues come up and it becomes strained, it's easier then to repair. This is with any relationship. If the foundation is there and it's continuously built on, it is easier to repair when things start to go wrong. If there's no foundation, because you just don't have that connection, when things start to go wrong, it's harder because there's nothing there, so you're not as invested in each other. So if you work on building time together where it's just the two of you, whether it's shopping, whether it's going for a coffee, then it will make a big difference. The second one is don't try to change your mum. If you watch my video that I did when I went live on my Facebook page, I'll go into more detail about my personal relationship with my mum. But one of the things that I do say is that when I learned not to try to change who my mum was, if she wants to be critical, if she wants to be someone that always throws in a little jab or whatever it is, it's not going to affect me. So I've learned me to be myself and to allow my mum to be herself. And sometimes to joke about things, you don't have to take things always that serious, but you can't change your parent and you don't have to change yourself. So when you accept that, then it just becomes easier. And the third thing is recognise it's not your issue. There are issues that are beyond you and you're the child. So you don't ever have to feel at fault. The reason my mum is in competition with me, the reason my mum is always shouting at me, the reason my mum is blocking me, the reason my mum is doing things that seem to be against the natural parent-mother thing. But sometimes, a lot of the times, it's about them. Maybe what they've learned patterns from their parents. Maybe it's whatever's going on with them. So it's not your issue. You can't take on board. You're not responsible for how your adult parent parents you. And the fourth one is sometimes just recognise and realise that your parents do mostly, for the most part, want the best for you. Take away all the, toxic parents, the abusive parents and, the rest of it. The majority of parents want the best for their children. How they sometimes project that or how they sometimes display that isn't always the best. So they might say, I don't want you to go to this place. I don't want you to do this. I think you should stay here living with me. I don't want you to move. What they're really saying deep down sometimes is, I'm scared of losing you, or I'm worried about you. But they don't express it in that way. So if you can find the time together to bond, don't try and change your mum. Recognise that it's not your fault. Some of the things that are happening are coming from their perspective and it's about them, not you. And realise that in most cases your parents want the best for you. Then I think it can sometimes resolve some of these issues. You can always attempt as well to go to therapy together and do some family therapy to work around the issues. You can go to individual therapy, and there's lots of other things you can try. There's lots of books and resources out there. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please feel free to like, to leave your comments, and to share this video with others if you think they'll find it useful. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye.